Let's get sweaty.
Hey guys, welcome to Shenmue Dojo video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about the RGG Summit that's coming up on the 20th of September. I think it's around 10 AM UK time if my memory serves me correctly, but I'll put all the timings in the YouTube description below so you can pick those up and any links that you might want to watch it for. Now, incredibly unlikely, I'm going to talk about a little bit about Shenmue and whether it could make an appearance or not. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of like a Dragon Yakuza sort of heavy talk, I guess. So obviously if you want to skip through some of that, feel free to do so. I dive straight in then. Shenmue 4 remakes, just Shenmue in general. Now, let's not beat around the bush here. Anything Shenmue at this RGG Summit is highly, highly unlikely. Obviously, we had the Shenmue Easter egg in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which was cool for that podcast. I think it's episode 1 of that podcast as well, which is quite a nice little nod to Shenmue. It's probably the first time in a long, long time that Sega, even RGG, have noted Shenmue. Yeah, it's tongue-in-cheek, but it's good fun. So, very, very unlikely. Now, it's not to say that we wouldn't be buzzing if RGG were going to pick this up, overseen by Yu Suzuki, for example, but it's unlikely. Be it Shenmue 4, any sorts of remakes, or anything completely out of the ordinary, like a Shenmue 0, for example, who knows. Also, I think with the tweet-a-thons, they've obviously kicked into gear. We've been trending month on month for quite a little while now. I'll hopefully be trending on the 4th of September as well. They haven't been going, I think, long enough, really, to sort of have the impact that we're looking for. They are being heard within the industry. I know that. People have told me this. So, hopefully, the more noise we make, etc., etc., you know where I'm going to go with it, the more chance we have of Shenmue 4, Shenmue 5, Shenmue whatever coming out, be it through Sega or other publishers that are out there. So that's the Shenmue talk. Sorry to say, it's probably a little bit disappointing. If it did happen, I'd be beating everybody's door down to be celebrating because it would be completely left field. Moving away from Shenmue, talk a little bit about the Like a Dragon stuff that's obviously out there. So very recently, I think Tuesday, I want to say, we had the announcement that Yakuza Kwami 1 is coming over to the Nintendo Switch, which is a fantastic move in itself. Obviously, Sega have avoided Nintendo for a little while since the Wii U. I don't really know why, whether it's down to sales or whatever. I've not really dug into that. But the fact it's coming over to Switch is a good move. It's going to be about £20, probably digital only. So I expect us to see more footage of this sort of running on a Nintendo Switch, be it in handheld or docked mode. I do wonder whether limited run games might pick up a physical edition of it. I think it would be a good move for them. It'd be a good move for collectors as well. So we could see something like that within this summit. It's quite possible. But who knows? It isn't unlikely. And obviously with the recent announcement, it would make sense for them to sort of go in on this a little bit more. Moving away from that, then we come to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and the potential of DLC. Now, this hasn't really been talked about or mooted really anywhere, but it's something that came to my thoughts when I was writing sort of the script for this video anyway, that we might get some DLC for Infinite Wealth. Now, bearing in mind we're coming up to 9 months from release, it had a pretty successful release. They wanted to create a tail for this and a bit of money earner. They could release some sort of story DLC just to sort of get things moving a little bit. Or they could, if they wanted to, maybe do what they did with Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who raised his name, is actually maybe release like a 10-hour fleshed out game as a sort of follow-on, or even set during Infinite Wealth, again, just to generate a little bit more money and income for that. Maybe, I don't know. But the next one that I want to talk about is, in my mind, it'd be the best announcement for the sort of the franchises they hold, and this is of course Judgment 3 I'm thinking about here. Now, going back a few years, there were disputes between the talent agency and Sega about the PC version in Japan. I understand that those have been resolved, which is great, which means Yagami's actor, I can't remember his name, I really should have looked at that, can now obviously appear in future games, which is great. Now, if that hadn't been settled, I do expect they'd have found a way around it and maybe written him out somewhere. But again, it seems, fingers crossed, that it's on the cards and it could happen. Now, Yagami returning to our screens would make a lot of sense, and there's a few reasons for that. Now, it gives RGG a break from the Like a Dragon games themselves. I know they're set in the same universe, essentially, but it's a very different feel of game. You've got a different tone to it, so it feels more grounded in its approach, whereas I think Like a Dragon's a little bit more zany, a little bit more crazy. Some of the storylines are a little bit more out there. Judgment feels a bit more grounded in the tone, the way it presents itself, and its approach to storytelling and character building. It feels closer to a Shenmue game. Obviously, it isn't a Shenmue game, and it obviously has its own unique identity, but it definitely feels closer to Shenmue than maybe the Like a Dragon series does, certainly in my opinion. On top of that, you also have a different battle system. Obviously, in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, it's turn-based. I may say turn-based, loosely turn-based, in that you do get a little bit of free roaming. Obviously, Kiryu has his dragon mode where you can go around and beat the living hell out of people as well for a set amount of time. So it is turn-based with some caveats and quite nice additions to it. But Judgment is a free battle thing, essentially. So it's a different battle system, different story, different characters. Yes, set in the same places, but it's a whole different feel to game. And I know there's been quite a clamour around Judgment 3 since the previous game, which was absolutely fantastic. Judgment titles are fantastic. If you haven't played them, make sure you go and pick them up, because they're probably on sale or on Xbox Game Pass for not very much these days. Moving away from Judgment 3, again, something that's been talked about quite a lot, and it is another number 3, is Yakuza Kwami 3. Now, this has been talked about for a while, and I'm going to pop up an article just sort of summarise what I'm going to say a little bit. So we know there's another Like a Dragon game in the works. RGG have been talking about that, which is great. There's been character auditions, and I think there was a post a few months ago going through that and the application process for it. But they did confirm at this point in time that it wasn't Kwami 3. Now, this was an article from the 1st of April, which oddly is April Fool's Day, but I don't think there's anything sort of sinister in this at all. They are going to say that Kwami 3 is going to happen at some point. So it doesn't necessarily mean it won't turn up at this summit on the 20th of September, but I would suggest that it's probably unlikely, just because, as they're saying, they've got other titles in the works. It's maybe not quite the right time for them to do it. Obviously, if they do it, I mean, this released a long time ago. It's quite an old title. It would make sense for them to upgrade this, bring it sort of into the more modern sorts of feel, I guess, put it into the Dragon engine, and just give it a nice lift. Because it's not a bad game. I know Yakuza 3 divides opinion a little bit like Shenmue 3, I guess, in some respects. Oops, I went there. But anyway, it's still, for me, quite a good game. It does have some challenges around, some of it feels a bit bloated, but it's very much a good Yakuza game, in my view. It's worth playing, and I think if they update it, maybe bring some new features in from the previous games that we've played recently, I think it could do really well. So we'll see, and it hasn't been touched for a long time, so it would make, again, sense for the sort of them to carry on that Kwami move. And it means that when you go and play 0, Kwami 1, Kwami 2, they're not jumping essentially backwards to what, for the best of intentions, is an up-res PS3 game. That's how old it is, which makes me feel old as well. The other, and then again, bit out there, don't know if this will happen or not, is Yakuza Kenzen. Now, with the relative success of Ishin, now I played it, I struggled a little bit with it. I think they chucked it on Unreal. I'm oversimplifying it. Did some little upgrades, but didn't really upgrade it in the same way they have done with the Kwami titles, for example. I don't know why. It's still a good game, but I did struggle with some of the aged aspects of it. So if they're going to do a Kenzen, I would hope that they sort of build it up properly. I think it came out on PS3 in 2007. It's obviously never seen a Western release, much like Ishin hadn't at the time. It's one of the most requested Yakuza Like a Dragon titles out there. I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it at some stage, but I don't know if now, again, is quite the right time for it. Who knows? Again, if they did, I'd buy it day one. I'd buy all those games day one. I love the Like a Dragon Yakuza series, and I am going to make the point of saying, right here, right now, any rivalry between the Shenmue community and the Like a Dragon community is just plain silly. They're great games, both in their own right, people. Play them both. I promise you'll have a great time. Anyway, I don't know if I've missed anything in sort of the little rundown that I've done. As I said at the top of this video, I don't feel that we're going to get a Shenmue announcement through this, and that's not me being negative. I think it's just being realistic. Obviously, if something did happen, I would be over the moon, and I'd be busting people's doors in for a massive party. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but we'll see. But if I've missed anything from the Like a Dragon titles that could happen, obviously drop us a comment below, let me know, and I'll happily pick some of those up. As always, guys, if you want to become a member, it's just £2 a month, and you get access to all the videos ahead of time. So that's all the Saturday content and sort of any of the news digests and other bits and pieces that I put out. If you don't, then it doesn't matter. Everything just comes out on the scheduling anyway, and you get your name in the credits as well. On top of that, guys, thank you as always for dropping in on the content that we've been putting out. Obviously, we keep moving towards the end of the year now, which is crazy in itself. We're starting to look at the 25th anniversary for Shenmue. I'm hoping to get some special things planned for that as well. Again, any ideas for that, do let us know. We're not adverse to picking any of those up as well. Don't forget, on the 4th of every month, hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4, 8 PM UK time. There will be a video coming out 24 hours before the 4th of September to just give everybody the details and the final rundown of that as well. But for now, guys, thank you as always. Don't forget to give us a like, share, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all the usual places that you can find us. And I'll be back with a video in the not too distant future. But for now, guys, take care. Have a good one.